Welcome to the Amercan Shoulder Navel Surgeons Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Chalmers, a shoulder navel surgeon at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. Before we get started, I should mention the views expressed in this podcast do not necessarily affect the views of the American Shoulder Navel Surgeons Society, the University of Utah, or the institutions of any of our guests. Okay, so today we have an episode on the 2024 National Shoulder and Elbow Week. This American Shoulder Navel Surgeons Initiative is a gathering of leading surgeons, their patients, and their industry partners in support of shoulder and elbow health everywhere. It is the brainchild of Dr. Tony Miacci, who invented this and then handed it over to Dr. Joseph Abboud, who is currently the chairman of the ASES Foundation. It's occurring at 8 locations across the nation: Asheville, Boston, Buffalo, Denver, Lexington, and Phoenix, Salt Lake City, and West Palm Beach. So to discuss, we've invited several of the local leaders. So they're going to talk about their events. So we have this banner episode with lots of guests. So we have Dr. Chamberlain of Intermountain Health here in Utah. We have Dr. Joseph Abboud of the Rothman Institute in Pennsylvania. We have Dr. Jacob Kirsch of the New England Baptist Hospital in Massachusetts. We have Kaveh Sajadi of the Kentucky Bone and Joint Surgeons in Kentucky. And we have Dr. DiPaola of Buffalo, New York. Dr. Adam Seidl is also joining us from the University of Colorado in Denver. Okay, so I was hoping to start with Dr. Abboud, so you can tell us about this initiative. Where did it come from? What are the goals? Where does somebody go? What has it achieved thus far? Fill us in on the basics, Dr. Abboud.
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, this was the brainchild of Tony Miacci and the foundation. There's been a lot of work done in 2021, 2022 for the first two National Shoulder Elbow Weeks, and this year our third one in May of 2024. And, you know, it was a way to get more people involved and interested in shoulder health, get patients involved, and also it's a grassroots movement to really get the local societies and regions working together for a common goal of increasing the quality of shoulder and elbow care in their communities, bringing people together from various disciplines, including obviously surgeons, non-operative physicians, physical therapists, allied health, hospitals, physical therapists, and many other people. And it's been a remarkable success. It has driven a lot of revenue to the foundation, but also revenue to the local communities, because there's a 50-50 split between the revenue raised, with 50% of it staying in the local community, to qualified applicants to provide research ideas that are then funded to be able to implement things that otherwise they may not have resources to do. So it's been really an exciting endeavor, and this year is promises to be the best one yet.
I love the 50-50 split. Tell us, what are some of the things that the local people, the local sites have done with the funding they've received, from 2020 and 2021 when this got started?
Yeah, just to name a few, people have implemented the utilization of various patient-reported outcomes for studies. They've been able to purchase systems which they otherwise didn't have financial resources for. People have looked at throwing mechanics. I know Mike Freehill in San Francisco has used it to look at throwing mechanics and how that's affected his patient population. So, and each year, again, we give anywhere from 2 to 3 for each site for research purposes. And some of the sites are academic sites. Some of them are community sites that this is the first time they're able to get grant seed money to really start to delve into research and really contribute to patient care, not only in their community, but also elevate patient care throughout the world, really.
Well, certainly it's one of the great things about our field is that academics and non-academics are all working towards a common goal. What about the ASES Foundation? What does the foundation do with the funding it receives? Tell us, what are some of the initiatives the foundation has to do with the funding they receive from this fundraiser?
Sure, yeah. There are so many programs that, with the help of the entire team at the foundation, we've been able to implement. So one example is an exciting one this year. The AAOS put out a call for prospective multi-center studies, and Jay King from the University of Florida applied for that funding. The caveat was if you were to receive the funding, which I believe from the AOS was $100,000, if the foundation matched that funding, then you would get $200,000 to do a prospective study to look at the management of proximal humerus fractures in a very granular scientific level. So he received that award, and we're continuing to do that next year. We've implemented programs for underrepresented minorities and women to be able to take part in, as you may have seen at this year's ASES meeting, and a Saturday Sawbones session with Nth Dimension, to be able to get their hands on experience with thought leaders and learn about the profession at a young age, so we can plant the seed of being a physician, possibly an orthopedic surgeon, possibly a shoulder surgeon. We fund, I believe, 37 fellowship sites around the country, and I believe our contribution this year is in the range of about $37,000 for each site that applied that was qualified. So it's over $900,000 in funding from the foundation to the various fellowships around the country, which really obviously helps with the burden to those sites to be able to fund their fellowships. So those are just some examples. We also fund the traveling fellowships, the European traveling fellowships, the Asia Pacific traveling fellowships. We're starting fellowships in Australia, New Zealand, Latin America. So really really very exciting time at the ASES Foundation, and it's just picking up more and more momentum.
Well, as a recent person who's graduated from the ASES European Traveling Fellowship, it was an unbelievable experience, and I guess I owe you a thanks for having helped to pay for it. I had no idea the ASES Foundation provided that much funding for fellowships at each institution. That's huge. That's a huge amount of money and a huge investment in the future of our field.
Yeah, we work closely with our industry partners, a variety of industry partners, from device companies to companies like Pacira. It's a great relationship. It's a year-round effort to be able to each year secure that funding for our membership.
So it sounds like we've got a great cause, and then I know each of these sites is working hard to build their own thing. So I wanted to give each of you an opportunity to talk about your event. What inspired you to join the initiative? What did you have planned for your event in May? Aaron, I'm hoping you're going to start us off with all the work I know you've been doing to plan our event here in Utah.
Definitely. We with our site in Salt Lake City, and Peter, thank you for your help in helping us plan. It's been a great opportunity for us to engage in the mission that Joe just described for shoulder and elbow research as well as education. And it's been a great joint effort for the two largest healthcare organizations in the Mountain West, at least in Utah and the region in Intermountain Health and University of Utah, where you're located, Peter. And we've had a great opportunity to build the brand of the ASES and the foundation, increase the support of our industry partners as well as our community, but really to engage and educate a lot of our own surgeons in our community around the mission of ASES, the foundation, and get involvement that way. So we've had I think it's been just the planning of the event together has been a great positive in our shoulder and elbow community in our region, bringing people together, the people that otherwise wouldn't have a lot of time to cross paths. We're bringing a great event where we'll have a guest speaker who's both a patient and somebody in executive and professional sports that we're all excited to come in here and bring our surgical teams, our community members and partners in providing shoulder and elbow care, really highlighting the quickly evolving field of shoulder and elbow surgery for the community. And so it's been overall a pretty kind of comprehensively a positive experience for us in our profession as well as the foundation.
Certainly agree. We've always had collegiate relationships here at Salt Lake, but I think this event has helped us to build those relationships, and I couldn't agree with you more. Tell us, you hinted, who's our guest, and then where. I know you've worked really hard to get us set up to also have a great location. Tell us just the brief overview of what the event was going to look like.
Right. So we're hosting the event at Rice-Eccles Stadium, which is the football stadium, home stadium for the University of Utah football team, also the site of the past and maybe the future Olympics, opening and closing ceremonies, Winter Olympics. Our guest speaker is Jim Olson, who is a former shoulder patient, as well as the president of the Utah Jazz, and he's been in managerial roles in professional sports with the Utah Jazz for about 30 years. And so we're excited to have him join us. The Utah Jazz has been kind of a long-standing mainstay in our community, and so we're excited to hear about his experience managing professional athletes.
All right, Jacob, tell us what you got planned in Boston.
Absolutely. And thank you again, Peter, for having us on to help promote this. So we're having a pretty neat event. It'll be downtown at the Seaport on Friday. It'll be May 17th. We have a pretty eclectic group of people that formed our subcommittee. We have my partner, Andy Jawa, as well as other members, Glenn Ross, Andy Green, Bassem El Hassan, JP Warner, and Gus Mazaka. So it's kind of nice that we have multiple different institutions in our areas represented. The theme that we're kind of going with is the idea of innovation in shoulder surgery. I think Boston has a really rich history of shoulder surgery going back to, Codman and Carter Rowe. And so I really wanted to build on that and highlight that aspect of it. To that end, JP will be one of our keynote speakers kind of talking about that rich history. And then Bassem will provide another keynote address talking about how he uses these ideas that he comes up with and how he actually innovates and comes up with these procedures and how it impacts the patients that we take care of. So I'm really excited to host this event and to bring everyone together to participate in it. Our real keynote speaker will be Tenley Albright, and she's an incredible woman. She actually was the first U.S. American woman to win gold at the Olympics in figure skating. After she did that, she went to Harvard Medical School and was a Harvard-trained surgeon who actually practiced at New England Baptist Hospital before it became an orthopedic-only hospital. And now she's also a very grateful patient with bilateral reverses. So it would be a really, interesting to hear her perspective. And so we're really looking forward to putting on a really great event. And it's been great to work with, all the guys on the call and everyone else who's participated in this to kind of, raise awareness of, what we do and also help support the foundation.
All right, Kaveh, tell us what you have planned.
Well, we're really excited about the event we have here in Lexington. My team, I can't thank them enough. Daniel Hackett and Brent Morris and Scott Mayer have really put a lot of work in with me and helped me put this together. But we're going to showcase a little bit of what people think of when they think of Lexington, and that typically is horse racing and bourbon. And so that should make it a very fun event. We're going to have it at the Keeneland Racetrack, which is a very beautiful, historic horse racing track with a very serene country type setting in it, which will be able to overlook the track from where we're hosting it. We're going to have a bourbon tasting to start the evening off, and we've been fortunate enough to get Brent Elliott to come join us. Brent is a master distiller for Four Roses Bourbon, and in 2020 was named the Master Distiller Blender of the Year at Whiskey Magazine. So he's going to bring some great insights into kind of what he thinks about when he's tasting bourbon and enjoying it. And then we'll have a couple of brief academic talks. Dr. Hackett's going to talk about augmentation and biologics in rotator cuff surgery and the advances in that. I'm going to give a brief talk about the history of shoulder replacement, just to kind of show the general audience kind of where we started and where we've come to. And then our keynote speaker, we're really lucky to have Chad Pennington, the former NFL quarterback for 11 years, first round draft pick in the NFL draft. He played for the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Obviously had a big shoulder surgery during his NFL career. So he's going to talk about returning to the NFL after shoulder surgery, and then a little bit about his life journeys and how he started and built a high school football program at a school that didn't have a program before, and leadership skills that it's taken to develop that. So we're really excited. I think we're going to have a fun evening and continue to raise awareness for the foundation, and what we do as shoulder and elbow surgeons in the community.
Well, that sounds awesome. I'm loving the local flavor each site has, and it also sounds like each site has really done a nice job of kind of bringing local community of shoulder surgeons together. Matt, tell us what you guys planned in Buffalo. I know you guys have been working hard to get it all put together.
Yeah, so we we kind of coalesced on the theme of architecture. It's kind of a roundabout story how we got there. Originally, I didn't think I'd have any hope in using sports as a theme. I just thought that might be too high cost. So I went with my gut. I felt like it had to excite me first if I was, going to get other people excited. I originally thought we were going to have art as the theme, but then I veered more towards architecture. And it turns out there's a venue here called the Darwin Martin House, which is an iconic building, a Frank Lloyd Wright designed home. And right next door is a pavilion called the Great Batch Pavilion that is an event center. And interestingly enough, until this process got going, I did not even know they did events there. So it's been a tremendous learning experience for me, which has been wonderful. It's really opened up my world. And again, I can't thank my partners enough. We've got a rather large committee. I've tried to loop in the Syracuse guys, Nate Everding and Kevin Setter and Joe Choi down in the Southern Tier, and then the Rochester group with Greg Nicandri and Sandeep Manava and Ilya Voloshin, and then my own partners, Tom DeQuinn and Mike Rao and Bob Abeloff. So thankful to all those guys. So we kind of converged on the architecture theme. To me, it's an exciting theme because I view architecture as kind of this convergence of art and engineering. And I think that's what we do. To me, when I'm operating, I feel inspired as much by the art of what we do as by the engineering. I know we talk a lot about biomechanics, but to me, it's art. And so I went out, and as I was looking, there's 2 art museums in town. And when I was looking at one of the art museums, it turned out that they have an installation that was done by a gentleman who trained as an architect, but technically is an artist. He works in the architecture school at UB. His name is Dennis Marr. And he runs this super interesting program downtown called Assembly House 150. And when I saw the installation, basically they had turned the classrooms at this art museum into this almost Alice in Wonderland-like environment. It was amazing. He had taken all kinds of recovered furniture and desks and all kinds of things, and they just made these rooms that were phenomenal. I said, I got to meet this guy. So a couple phone calls later, I met with Dennis and asked him to be our keynote speaker. So he's going to be talking about what he's doing. He's reclaimed a building downtown that was a church, and it was basically a shell, and he's turned it into a living workshop, a teaching space where he's teaching the building arts. It's construction, but it's art at the same time. And it's just this phenomenal environment that I wanted people to know about. So he's going to be our keynote speaker and telling everybody about it. I thought there were a lot of parallels with what we're doing here. We have a phenomenal simulation center at the University of Buffalo. I mean, just a world-class laboratory with not only a cadaver lab, but all the simulation equipment. So we're going to be highlighting that in a session between 1 and 3 p.m., having some of the students come up, teach them what we're doing. But I thought there was a phenomenal parallel there with what Dennis is doing and what we're doing. We're teaching the future generation of surgeons, and he's doing that too. So he's going to lead off. One of my patients is an auctioneer, and this came up. I replaced both of his shoulders last year. He runs a phenomenal auction house here in town. So he agreed to do the auction. And that kind of steered me also because the one art museum wouldn't do auctions. So it turned out to be a blessing in disguise that I found the Darwin Martin. Turned out Darwin Martin wouldn't do auctions either, but I convinced them to do an auction. So they're doing an auction. But anyway, Kelly Schultz is my patient, double shoulder replacement. He's going to lead our auction. We're going to do some live items, but a lot of silent items as well. Then we're going to move into honoring one of our senior partners who set the stage for shoulder surgery in our region, in the Western New York region. He's been a mentor to many people who've gone on around the country, but particularly my partner, Dr. DeQuinn. So we're using this opportunity to honor him, and he's going to bring his family, and that's going to be a really special event for us. And then we're going to finish off the night with multiple talks. We have a few different ones from around the region. Dr. Choi is going to talk about shoulder surgery in the rural environment. Dr. Everding's going to talk about outpatient shoulder replacement. I'm going to talk a little bit about our PGI research, which frankly inspired me to do this endeavor because I received a grant a few years ago through the PGI grant, and extraordinarily grateful. I think in a lot of ways has driven my energy for the project to see to it that we continue raising money to give back and create more of those types of grants. My partner Mike Rao is going to talk a little bit about sports, and then we're doing kind of multiple fast hitting talks here, 5 to 8 minutes. And then to round it out, Dr. Nicandri from University of Rochester is going to hit on that simulation theme. He's, we have a wonderful center here, but he's really set the pace in terms of doing research on simulation in the residency environment. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it. Super jazzed. I've been able to get a lot of engagement with all different areas of the community, including we're going to have some construction folks and some architects there too. So a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome. And then Adam Seidl, tell us what you're planning in Denver. What's do you also have a theme? I love the idea of a theme. That's so cool.
Yeah, Peter, thanks. I'll just start by saying thanks for putting me behind Matt. We're kind of all chasing him in this endeavor. He's absolutely crushing it in Buffalo with his fundraising efforts, and obviously his ideas were all kind of following his lead. So awesome job. And to all the other people on the call and all the other sites, they're really doing an amazing job. So our theme is in line with some of the other cities. We are focusing on the advancing science of shoulder and elbow surgery. We have a great night planned. We are booked for Tuesday, May 14th. And one of the cool things is I think we have every night of that week covered between the sites that are involved. So we are on that Tuesday. We're hosting the event at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, which is a very cool venue. Again, focusing on future of shoulder surgery. Several keynote speakers. We have 2 former Denver Broncos, one of which is Randy Gradishar, who just this year got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that's super exciting. The other is Tyler Columbus, who is a kind of a local football celebrity and is a media celebrity here in Denver. And then our third keynote speaker is the first female surgeon in Colorado who's had bilateral shoulder replacements. All 3 of our keynote speakers have personally had shoulder surgery. So they'll speak on their experience with that. But super excited. Again, very thankful to be part of this mission for the ASES, and appreciative of all my committee co-members and Joe Abboud leading the way.
Boy, I think all of you sounds like have phenomenal events planned. It sounds like it's probably hard to overestimate the amount of effort that's probably gone into each of these events, and they're so creative and so different. Joe, tell us, what does the future hold for National Shoulder Elbow Week? I mean, this is 2024. What are you guys thinking is going to be the next iteration here?
Yeah, so it's become a very competitive process and exciting process, and so we are going to be announcing at the beginning of Shoulder Elbow Week the selected sites for 2025, and I can tell you sites that have previously hosted it are hoping to be able to host it again. We've almost also considered it at some point in the next couple of years, bringing back the most successful sites and having like a Hunger Games of sorts, of kind of the best of the best, and have them duel it out. But the exciting thing is, again, we do a good job engaging surgeons and industry partners. We are doing a better job now engaging patients and community leaders, and to really get the word out about what we do, how we do it, and really getting the support there. So from a financial perspective, again, it's done extremely well. We've been blessed with great donors and great ideas. I can't, the committee here of leaders have done a tremendous job at their sites. But I must say, Matt has been just unbelievable in his ability to bring in funding into Buffalo. So truth be told, a smaller market, when it was selected, we were a little concerned, a smaller market, well, how would that do? And he's just absolutely crushing it. And, he definitely is the godfather, the, the Italian Don in Buffalo. Because
I hope you're not concerned anymore, Joe.
He's got everyone in Buffalo coming. I think if you're not there that night, there's going to be a problem. So, but no, it's been tremendous watching this. And honestly, the other thing that's been great, and I believe Aaron touched on this, is, as our society grows, having these types of, activities and opportunities to interface together brings people together that otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to get to know each other. And so this year, with the 8 sites and the various number of co-chairs, met a ton more people. It's really such an exciting time to be a shoulder and elbow surgeon, to be part of ASES and work on the foundation side. Because at the end of the day, our goal here is to provide better care for our patients, protect our profession, make sure that, shoulder elbow surgery is, the best job you can get out there, and we can let doctors do their job. So it's really, I think, nothing but an upside. We are going to keep it at probably 8 sites, maybe 10, but we already had this year 12 applications, and we had 4 that we couldn't support last year just because of our bandwidth of how many sites we could support. So it's become very exciting and competitive. So I'm sure these folks are going to want to jump back into it in the next couple of years again. So it's fun to get a little bit of a break to get new ideas and stuff in your community, but won't be too long before we're back in some of these cities again.
Well, it's phenomenal work on the national level at the ASES Foundation, and an unbelievable job you guys are doing, and certainly all of our patients, benefit in the very long run for the educational and research efforts that you make.
And one thing, I'm sorry, Peter, one thing that I don't want to, and this is a really important thing, Ian Byram and J.R. Rutsky, Rob Harkey, Leslie Barnes, Jonathan Reyes have done a tremendous amount of work to lead this committee for the foundation. Ian Byram and JR have just worked tirelessly to make sure everything goes smoothly. And without them, I couldn't do this, and these committee chairs couldn't do it.
Well, it's great work from everyone on the committee, and it's a great cause, and great work by all the sites. Aaron, Jacob, Kaveh, Matt, Adam. I mean, it sounds like each of you has, like an awesome event planned, great guest speakers, cool themes. I wish I could go attend all of them. I think what we should do for next year is everyone should just have Joe Abboud as their keynote speaker, and we should have him attend all the events. That's my idea for 2025, Joe. You can write it down. I thought of it first.
Well, the foundation jet is not here yet. Eventually, hopefully we'll have it yet. But for this year, I'm jetting up to Boston to join Jacob, just because I like to rub my fingers through his hair because he's got the best hair in the ASES. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. Matt's hair is nice as well. So he's just brushing up on his hair there to show you that. But yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. We have somebody from the foundation or our committee of assistants attending this. So there's somebody from the administrative side attending every site, which is tremendous.
Well, that is tremendous. It's, again, a great effort. That's about all the time we have for this podcast. Thanks too much to our guests. For all of our Shoulder Elbow listeners out there, don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.